the lads, welcome back to a new video. I know it has been a while yet again, but I hope this one is the start of, first of all, a new series over the summer in which we, as you may see by the title, are discussing transfers. This one specifically is one player for which every team should sign, but I can do a part 2, 3, 4 of these. And you also have the equivalent of one player every club should sell, which you can be on the lookout for in the near future as well. So I hope the uploading schedule of mine will be a little more consistent, shall we say. I hope my school allows for that, but without any further ado, I suggest we just get straight into the video, starting off with Wolves, so going back to front in alphabetical order, because I do think teams like Wolves and West Ham often get put last in videos, which means they are kind of rushed through, so I like to change around the order a bit. Anyway, starting us off with Wolves, and I've decided to go with Joao Felix. It clearly has not worked for him at Chelsea, neither has it at AC Milan, after coming there on loan in January last season. Wolves are selling Mateus de Cunha, so they could do with a player who's comfortable both playing on the wing and in that sort of number 10 shadow striker type role. I think Joao Felix clearly has a lot of natural talent, but has not found a home yet or a system in which he thrives, which I believe is a shame because I do genuinely believe there is a real player in there. And maybe at a Portuguese tinted project like Wolves he could come more to fruition. I certainly believe so. West Ham need to be on the lookout for a striker, in my opinion, this summer. In the January loan move for Evan Ferguson has not worked at all. Neither has the summer transfer for Fulkrug, and obviously we know the very unfortunate accident in which Mikel Antonio has been this season. So West Ham absolutely do need a striker. That's why I've decided to go with Juan Boni from Parma. He's a very young French striker, but he's unbelievably physical, and I do think that's a very important quality to have if you're going to make it in the Premier League. The reason I do like to shop, or I do like Premier League teams to shop in the Serie A, is because you often get told that training in Serie A is as physical as matches are in the Premier League. So the fact that a player can thrive in Serie A probably means he has the physical attributes needed to do so in the Premier League as well. Juan Boni, at 21 years old, has scored 9 goals for Parma, I think, this season, which, I mean, it's not world challenging statistics, but it's still pretty good for a 21-year-old striker. And the fact that he can get in a physical toss-up with some of those Italian defenders shows me that he should be able to translate that physicality to the Premier League pretty well. For Spurs, I have decided to go with Kangin Lee from Paris Saint-Germain for 2 reasons. First of all, I think Son can't be playing every game next season. He simply cannot. He hasn't this season. He's not getting any younger. But losing Son, and this isn't necessarily as much of a football conversation as it is a financial conversation. But losing Son means Spurs lose almost all of their fan income with shirt sales, ticket sales, even match day revenue with people having to buy to stream the game in Asia. That's an entire market gone, and I don't think we can underestimate how influential the Asian market is on Spurs' financial well-being with Son's superstar status. So I think getting Kang In Lee, get them playing together for one season in which you can have games where Son is playing on the left, Kang In Lee is playing on the right, Kulusevski at number 10. You can switch around Kulusevski and Kang In Lee. You can even play Kang In Lee left and give Son a rest. I think he would be a very good squad option for Spurs. And maybe most importantly, he would fill that Asian market space, shall we say, because we know from experience South Koreans are unbelievably proud of what Son has been able to accomplish in the Premier League, and rightly so. He is an absolute modern day legend. but maybe Kangin Lee could tread in his footsteps a little. As for Nottingham Forest, it is very clear to me they are going to be on the lookout for another striker as well. Awani has nearly played any football, not nearly played any football this season. Chris Wood has had a fantastic campaign, but is not getting any younger. And Forest will most definitely have European football to contend with next season. Hence why I've decided to go with Moise Kean. And I know what you're thinking, why would he leave Fiorentina right now? Well, Fiorentina aren't necessarily a club who stand in the way of players that want to move on, especially when it is for big money. And I think Moise Kean could fetch them up to 50 million after the season he's had. I think he's up to 22 or 24 goals in the Serie A, which is absolutely amazing. He has very much become Fiorentina's main man, and even though he was a complete waste of time back when he was at Everton, I think most of that can be chalked up to the fact that he was just too young to come to the Premier League back then. Whereas now, with all the experience he has and the undeniable technical ability he possesses, I think this could be a match made in heaven. Now it is time for Newcastle United, and I've decided to go with Ryan Cherki for that right wing position. Cherki has kind of been this everlasting wonder kid who everybody was expecting to blow up, but wasn't necessarily. Uh, and then this season he did blow up output wise. He was always a fantastic dribbler to watch, kind of your Alain Saint-Maximin street footballer, French player, but this season he's married it up with unbelievable goal contributions, unbelievable creative numbers, unbelievable ball progression numbers. Pretty much every single statistic you want a player of his quality to stand out in, he is absolutely magnificent in that. Still only 21 years old, and with the financial troubles that Lyon find themselves in this summer, apparently he is available for 30 to 35 million pounds, which would be an absolute bargain for such an unreal player. A lot of clubs will be after Ryan Cherki. Manchester United, let's talk about it. The last couple of days have brought the news that Matheus Cunha is most likely going to be joining Manchester United. And stylistically, I think this is quite a good fit, playing in one of those number 10 roles behind the striker, maybe even being able to fill in at the number 9 role if necessary. But it is quite a lot of money, and I think when you're spending £62.5 million on one position, if you're Man United, you better already have a very well thought out plan of what the rest of your budget is going to be allocated to and how you're going to address the other weaknesses in your team, because obviously Man United struggled in the goal scoring department, but Man United struggled in the midfield department as well, and the defense as well, and at goalkeeper as well, and very much at wingback as well. So where is the money gonna come from to sort out all of those problems as well? I do wonder that, but if we're talking just plain the transfer, Matheus Cunha to Manchester United, I do think it is a good move. Manchester City should go back in for Cambiasso of Juventus. This guy is as two-footed as they come, which is a very nice skill to have if you are a fullback, because it means you can be pretty much as comfortable both on the left back and the right back. And let's be honest, City do need some new fullbacks. They have used Nico O'Reilly, who has kind of had a very great start to his City career the last couple of months maybe. Rico Lewis had a great start to the season, but has massively dropped off since because Pep Guardiola just doesn't trust him physically to compete in the Premier League. John Stones is always injured. Akanji doesn't play as often at fullback anymore. Gvardiol has moved inside. Now Nico O'Reilly has emerged. Ake is most likely going to be sold this season. So I do believe Manchester City should look to recruit some fullbacks. And why not recruit one who is, one, absolutely class, and two, can actually fill in at both fullbacks, because I mean That's two players for the price of one. Liverpool, I think they should and most likely will be signing Xavi Simons. Let me tell you why. I believe Xavi Simons is an unbelievably versatile player who can fill in both at left wing, right wing, and in that number 10 role. And Arne Slot will love that. The communication between Arne Slot and Xavi Simons will obviously be simplified due to the fact that they both speak Dutch, which is a human element. I think people sometimes forget when it comes to transfers, but the fact that he understands Arne Slot this easily, the fact that he can fill in multiple positions, and Arne Slot does like to rotate his attackers quite a bit, the fact that you have seen Luis Diaz linked with a move away sometimes just make this an absolutely no-brainer. And I know Leipzig only signed Xavi, Xavi Simons in January, I think it was, for 70 million. He already has a 82 million pound release clause, which, I mean, I would be very much surprised if that doesn't get triggered. Congratulations to Leeds United for getting promoted back to the Premier League. Them alongside with Burnley as well, after we, Newcastle, confirmed the three relegation teams. Last night with that 3-0 demolition job of Ipswich. And I know 3-0 doesn't sound like a demolition job, but watch the highlights of the game. Ipswich were nowhere near the level, just as they weren't anywhere near the level last week when they were playing Arsenal. It feels like over the last two games, Ipswich have kind of given up and accepted their fate, which is a shame, but hey, it is what it is. Let's talk about a player Leeds could sign, and I've decided to go with Borja Sainz. Pretty much, I mean, according to some, the best player in the championship, especially the best player among those clubs who aren't going to be fighting for promotion at the end of the season in the playoffs, given the fact that Leeds and Burnley have already secured those automatic promotion spots. But Sainz is number 10 slash left winger who scored a bucket load of goals last season in the championship. And yeah, I see Leeds getting him out of Norwich for 20 to 25 million, a bit like Everton did with Iliman Ndiaye. I know he had a year of Marseille in between, but let's be honest, he should have probably moved straight from Sheffield United to Everton. And he's doing quite well right there. I believe Borja Sainz could be of the same level. So we do know Ipswich has been relegated, but given the fact that they are the last team to be relegated from this season's Premier League, even though we still have 4 games to go, which is quite sad, and given the fact that we only know 2 out of the 3 teams who will be getting back to the Premier League, I've decided to include one more Ipswich transfer in this video, and I've decided to go with Luis Suarez. And no, that is not the Uruguayan Luis Suarez we all know and love. It is I think he's the Colombian Luis Suarez, who plays at UD Almeria in the Spanish second tier. He will most likely be crowned the top scorer in the Spanish second tier, but I don't think Almeria is getting promoted this season, meaning you get a certified backsman at lower tier level clubs. And given the fact that Ipswich are most definitely losing Liam Delap, especially now the 30 million release clause has been activated and Delap has been linked to us, linked to Chelsea, linked to Manchester United for the most part, I think Luis Suarez could be a pretty nice replacement for him. Now it is time for Fulham, and Fulham this season had to do with a lot of the campaign without their starting right back option, shall we say, which is Kenny Tete. Timothy Castagne had to fill in a lot of games there. I think Castagne is a good enough squad player, but if he's starting week in, week out for your team, I think that is a position of weakness to be identified. That's why I've decided to go with a younger, higher ceiling sort of right back. I've decided to go with Josh Achampong from Chelsea. And I know Chelsea fans most likely won't want to see him go, especially to a London rival like Fulham. But let's have it absolutely right. this Chelsea ownership regime, if you give them a chance at 100% profit, they are absolutely snapping your hand off for it. I am pretty sure if any team this season offered something like 50 million for Levi Colwill, they would take it simply because it is 100% profit and it helps out Chelsea massively in the weird shenanigans they try to do every season. Hence why I've decided Josh Ashampong to Fulham could be quite a good move. For Crystal Palace, I think they need some more centre back depth if we aren't talking about players who could be leaving this season, just the squad as a whole as they have it right now. I think they were hurt quite a bit by Chelsea recalling Trevoh Chalobah in January. And congratulations to Crystal Palace, by the way, for reaching the FA Cup semi-final in dramatic fashion, absolutely pumping Aston Villa in the semi-finals. But as for a transfer option for Crystal Palace, I've decided to go with Evan Ndika from AS Roma. And while editing this, I realized I kind of skipped over Everton. I'm very sorry, Toffees. For Everton, I would like to suggest signing Matty Cash. Everton have needed a right back for a very long time. Ashley Young is old, ironically enough. Seamus Coleman is old. Pedersen doesn't really play a lot, and Jake O'Brien mostly is a centre back, but sees minutes at the right back since David Moyes has come in. So I decided to go with a right back who probably needs to leave his club, Matty Cash. I think this could be a match made in heaven. Matty Cash still has energy left in him, still has some seasons left to give to the Premier League. I don't think it's going to be at Aston Villa because I don't think he's at the level of where they are trying to go to next season. So get some money in for him, give Everton at least a starter for next season, and if they are going to build on that one themselves, he is a squad player for a pretty long while to come. This is a defender who is left-footed, so you get the option to either sell Gehi this summer or maybe move him to the central or the right uh, sided centre back of Palace's back three. But also, Evan Ndika has mostly played in a back three, especially during his time at AS Roma. He has played in a back three a lot, but even back in his Frankfurt days, I think it was, there were times where they were playing a three at the back as well with him. So the Ivorian has shown that he's absolutely capable of doing so, and in my opinion, he absolutely has the physical strength to be an opposing threat in the Premier League. Chelsea, pretty plain and simple. I know Nicholas Jackson scored for the first time in 14 games or yesterday, not even last night, because they were playing at 12:30, I think it was. Doesn't matter anyway. Chelsea need a striker. Arsenal most likely, or any other of the top Premier League teams most likely will be going for a more proven asset, which is why I think there is a nice opportunity for Chelsea to be going for a striker such as Benjamin Sesko, who, yes, still isn't really the finished article yet, but is as close to the finished product as you can get, in my opinion, especially when it comes to the striker market. Is unbelievably physical. The only worry I do have with Benjamin Sesko is that he doesn't really take a lot of shots per 90 minutes in a transition based Leipzig team, meaning Chelsea play a kind of transitional brand of football as well, but not as counter-attack focused as Leipzig is, because nearly every attack of RB Leipzig is a counter-attack. Still, I do worry about him not getting shots in that system, and then maybe possibly getting even less shots in a Chelsea system. But if you have unlimited money like Chelsea does, surely there isn't that much risk when spending on someone like Benjamin Sesko. Burnley, the other team who got promoted from the Championship, straight back up for the second time of asking for Burnley. So again, massive congratulations to them. And I've decided to look at their attacking options because I think their defense is absolutely incredible. Esteve and O'Reilly at centre back, I mean, if ever there was going to be a centre back duo who was going to make the step up from the Championship to the Premier League and be not horribly out of their depth, I think it is most likely this Burnley centre back partnership. So I would like to see them at least be given a chance to play together in the league. But when it comes to Burnley's attacking options, I think they could do with Finn Azaz. It doesn't look like Middlesbrough could get promoted. Okay, I know a lot. Yesterday's game week 45 kind of meant that right now, if Bristol lose, I think tomorrow night against Leeds United, that means the final two promotion playoff spots will be competed for between four teams: Coventry, Bristol, or maybe even five: Coventry, Bristol, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, and I think Millwall is amongst those competing for that spot as well. So if Middlesbrough get promoted, obviously this doesn't work. But if they do stay in the second tier, I think Finazas will be on the move again because he has shown this season he is too good for second tier football. He simply is. As for Brighton, I think they could do with another right back. I know they have Joel Veldman and Tyreek Lamptey, but I would be surprised if Lamptey is still there next season, just because I don't quite think he's up to the standard of the other Brighton players. And on the other hand, Joel Veldman is a very defensive-minded option at right back. I think Brighton could do with someone who's more comfortable both on the ball and attacking the spaces, which is why I've decided to go with Vanderson from AS Monaco. Brazilian right back, I think he's 25 years old, has some experience under his belt, still isn't that old that you're losing money on this investment. I think he could be an unbelievable depth option for Brighton. Not many teams seem to be linked with him, so you could maybe get him for 20 to 25 million pounds. Interesting deal in my opinion. Brentford, I think Brentford are massively over-reliant on Nørgaard. And that is shown in the games where Nørgaard hasn't started. Brentford look porous at best and defensively fragile at worst. I would like to see them bring in another six, maybe another Danish player to help out with communication between that team and also keep the Danish project going a little bit at Brentford. But I've still decided to suggest them splashing a bit of cash, probably breaking their own transfer record after doing so last summer for Fabio Carvalho, and most likely being burned by that a little bit. I want to implore Brentford, go sign Martin Hjulmand from Sporting Lisbon. Will he have more significant, maybe significant isn't necessarily the right word, but more prominent suitors in the world stage than a Brentford? But I do believe Brentford are still pushing for a late Conference League inclusion. So if they were to get European football or finish close to it and sign a player like Jolman for next season, I do believe they could push on yet again and have more claim to keeping players like Mbuemo, Wissa, Damsgaard, and your manager Thomas Frank at the club, because it is clear the club is actually going somewhere and not just trying to turn over a profit every single season. Three teams left to go, starting things off with Aston Villa, and I believe Aston Villa should have a look at Morgan Rogers. Yeah, should have a look at Morgan Gibbs-White, that is, because obviously Morgan Rogers is still there. But Morgan Gibbs-White, let's talk about him. I think Forest could do what Villa did last summer and last January with selling some bigger name stars to fund gaining more of a squad, because European fixture congestion will mean Forest do need a deeper squad, do need some depth in nearly every position, as we saw 2 years ago with us. It can really have a toll on your squad to play that many extra games. And I think you can get a decent chunk of money for a player like Morgan Gibbs-White. He isn't irreplaceable in my opinion. And for Villa, if you're losing Marcus Rashford, Marco Asensio, because they are both on loan, and I don't really see a world in which they make any of those a permanent one. Morgan Gibbs-White offers you a player who can play in the positions, very much the positions Asensio occupies, the number 10 space, the wing space, not maybe not the striker role as much as someone like a Marcus Rashford, but I would be very surprised to see Aston Villa not investing any money in that position as well, given the fact that Emery has talked about maybe potentially playing two people up top, being Rashford and Watkins this season. But Gibbs White and Morgan Rogers behind Ollie Watkins, I think that's a very fluent front line, which could do some damage to a lot of clubs in Europe. Second to last team, Arsenal. I know everybody wants to talk about which striker Arsenal will be signing this summer, but I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm not sure what style they are looking for when it comes to the striker market. Are they looking for a target man? Are they looking for more of a complete forward like Joao Pedro, for example, who can play with his back to goal, involve other teams in the play? Are they looking for a physical striker who still is able to lay off the ball, like a Lukaku, for example? I don't really know yet, hence why I've decided to steer clear of the striker position for now. That will be in one for later installments of this mini series, which we will be doing over the summer, talking about transfers, obviously, that is. Hence why I've decided to go with Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao. I think Arteta will be looking for a winger as well to rival Martinelli, to give him some more options, maybe even rest Saka when Nwaneri isn't available to play on that right wing. So I've decided to go with Nico Williams. Obviously, I think he isn't the finished article some people think he is, because most people have the image of him of last summer's Euros, where he admittedly was absolutely fantastic, but he is still only 21 years old. He is still very raw, but the physical attributes he has, his speed, his skill, his strength, they are all very much there. So I do believe this would be a amazing transfer for Arsenal. And again, Spanish player, Mikel Arteta, Spanish coach, some other Spanish players in Arsenal's team. For the communication, this would be beneficial as well. Last team is AFC Bournemouth, and I believe Bournemouth could do with reinforcing their midfield steel. Ryan Christie has had an unbelievable season yet again, one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, because I think he ranks up there with the most ball recoveries out of any player in the Premier League, which is absolutely insane. But he is more of a roaming defensive-minded midfielder, so I do believe if you could drop a sitting midfielder next to him, who mops up everything that gets past Christie, Bournemouth could become a lot more defensively sturdy as well. Hence why I've decided to go with Anton Stack from Hoffenheim. The German central defensive midfielder has some very, very strong defensive statistics along with some pretty great distribution. So I think for a £20 million move, this could be a very, very good signing for AFC Bournemouth. But anyway, that was today's video. I'm very glad to be back with the transfer series, and I promise you the next transfer video won't take as long as this one did. Without any further ado, I would really like to thank you for watching. If you did go on to like this video, make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, get the engagement going on this video. Do you agree with all of my picks? Do you think some of these would be bad transfers? Do you think some of these would be great transfers? Please let us know. Follow all our social media pages, Instagram, X, Facebook, you know the drill, Magpie 24/7. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.